This exercise that I'm going to talk you through today is an external focus of attention exercise. Actually, one of my favorite techniques of all of the techniques. So I hope you enjoy and I hope it's useful for you. It's highly recommended for social phobia, but also I've found in my therapy practice with people that it's also helpful for depression and it's also helpful for other anxiety disorders or difficulties. There are three parts to the external focus of attention exercise. It does take practice to learn to externally focus your attention, and it can come as a surprise to some people that they are in control of where their attention is focused. And so that can be really helpful for people to practice. And it's been found that external focus of attention rather than internal focus is very beneficial for people in various situations, but just generally being more mindful of where your attention is a helpful thing. Within social phobia therapy, often the treatment is looking at externalizing attention rather than that attention being internally focused, and it's shown to be helpful in treating social phobia. But if you're somebody that has difficulties in social situations, it might be practicing this when you're not in a social situation initially, and then moving on to using it more when you are in social situations down the line. I'd just like to reiterate that it can be helpful for other difficulties as well, and it's just a really good life skill to have, which can be invaluable in many different situations where you're feeling stressed or you're ruminating on things. We'll move on to looking at what the stages of this process are. So the first stage of it is becoming aware of different things you can see and different things you can hear. And it's just being aware of a range of different sounds or things around you. If you're practicing like inside somewhere, you could listen to music CD or even listen to the radio, and you can pay attention to the different instruments that are playing on that music or on the radio. So that could be something like the guitar, drums, piano, the violin, or it might just be one of the kind of, underlying beats. The world around us is full of different sounds, colours, objects, textures, and things going on. And when you're practicing, it's just becoming more aware of what is happening around you, what you can see, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you could touch even. You could also notice the different sounds that are in the room and any sounds you can hear outside. And it's just really just listening and taking note of that. You could also pay attention to what objects are around you and the different colours of those objects. If there's any particularly bright areas of the room or if there's any shade, and just notice that. And you could even reach out and touch some of those objects and just notice what the texture is of them, what they're made out of, and maybe, are they hard or are they soft? It's normal for our attention to wander back to things that we're worried about. So we might have a thought that just jumps in, and that's perfectly normal and happens a lot. And it's just noticing that and then consciously refocusing on what you want to focus your attention on. So for example, you might be outside somewhere, maybe in a garden or a park, and you're getting these thoughts coming in, and it might just be just noticing that the thoughts come in and then just thinking to yourself, well, I'm going to refocus on the branches on that tree and the leaves, and maybe listening to the birds in the park, different flowers that are there and what the colours are. If you're practicing outside, you could go for a walk in your garden or at the park, or even just along the street. Just notice the sounds around you. And so it might be cars, it might be cyclists, it might be birds. You just noticing things that you can hear nearby and what you can hear further away. It could be that you can hear rain falling from the roofs, or it might be that you can hear an aeroplane passing overhead. The second part of this exercise is switching your attention between different sights and sounds. And so that might be if you're walking out in the park, you might be listening to the birds tweeting, and then you might switch to listening to the wind rustling in the trees and the leaves rustling. And it's about doing this every 1 minute. So it'd be about switching your attention between, say, those two things every 1 minute. And then you might, for 1 minute, for example, listen to the traffic. So it might be that you can hear buses in the distance or a car, and you would then focus your attention on that for 1 minute. If you were doing this exercise listening to music, you might listen to, say, for example, the piano for 1 minute, and then you would notice next, say, the drums, and really just consciously focus on that one part of the song or the tune, and keeping going with this for 10 minutes. So the idea is every 1 minute switch where your attention is focused, be that on the music that you're listening to, different kind of instruments, or be that you're in the park and you're having a walk and noticing the different sounds or different things that you can see that are of different colours. So the third part of this exercise is pulling all of that together, and it's just noticing, well, okay, I'm in the park here, I've been focusing for 1 minute on the leaves, focus 1 minute on the grass, for example, or to the birds singing, and now I'm just going to notice all of it at once for 1 or 2 minutes, and really kind of letting your focus just be external and soaking up all of what's going on around you. And if your focus does come back onto yourself or some thoughts that are coming in, that's perfectly normal, and it's just noticing that and gently shifting your attention back to what's going on externally again. If you've been practicing listening to the radio or listening to music, then it's just noticing the whole of that music track at the same time. So the drums, say, and the piano, and other instruments that are playing, and just really absorbing that for 1 or 2 minutes, or listening to what the radio presenter is saying, but also listening to the background track, and really just absorbing that and it being externally focused. Ideally, you will try this in many different situations and times. So it might be that you try it in the morning, you might try it in the garden, you might try it in the park, you might try it listening to music, or simply just sitting in your room, or just sitting, in your kitchen, or wherever really. So the idea is trying it in different situations so that you build your confidence in being more externally focused. Often I've found that when asking a client to do this type of exercise, that they might think that the exercise is about building up their ability to focus on just one thing for an extended period of time. But actually what we're looking at with this exercise is shifting your attention every minute or two to different things. And what we find is that with, say, something like depression or anxiety, it can be that our attention gets stuck on one thing and then builds our stress levels or rumination over time. And actually what we're looking at with this exercise is we're looking at the ability to switch and move your attention where you want it to be and to be externally focused in that attention. So when you're moving it every 1 or 2 minutes, your attention, that gets you into the practice of being able to move it a little bit like a magnet onto different things. So pulling it up, and putting it down where you want it to be. It can be helpful to, keep a record, say on your phone, or write it down on a piece of paper, the day, time that you practiced, the situation that you practiced in, was it inside or outside, what kind of things you focused your attention on, and how long you practiced. You could write down how you felt before it and how you felt after it, and just notice over time if it becomes easier for you to do. With this exercise, it does take practice to get in the habit of doing it more automatically. So the suggestion is to do it around 10 minutes a day, but you could do it as much as you wanted. So you could do it twice a day for 10 minutes, for example. The good thing also about this exercise is that you can do it anywhere really. So you could do it while you're commuting on the train or on the bus, or you could do it, just sat in the house or walking to work potentially, or these kind of situations. So it's quite a helpful exercise where you can, practice it quite readily, and also, people are not going to really realise you're practicing it either. And it's just noticing to yourself that it's okay for me to be not able to do this immediately, and it's perfectly normal for it to take practice, and it can be quite difficult for people at first if they've been in the habit of being more internally focused and less externally focused. So it can be tricky for folk, but with practice, the ability to be more externally focused and move your attention where you want it to be gets better over time. And it's just thinking, well, like any habit that's been going on for a long time, let's say internal focused attention, or not being conscious that you can move your attention to where you want it to be. And it's just really thinking, well, I could give myself a little reminder to practice each day, for example. Leave little reminders like little post-it notes at your desk or on the wall in the kitchen, for example, just to be given a little bit of time to practice in this exercise. So I hope you enjoy this exercise, and I highly recommend it. I sometimes use it myself. I also use it with clients, and I was taught this skill and technique at the Centre for Anxiety Disorders and Trauma at King's College London, and it's a fantastic exercise that I've found to be beneficial with lots of different people. So enjoy. If you'd like to learn about different exercises that might be helpful for you, you can look through some of the other videos, and I also intend to make more of this type of material moving forward. So you could subscribe to the channel just to get a notification when they're issued. Thank you.